What is up, Foxes? Jim Ron. Jim never was. Best day ever. How are you doing?
GM Willie, best day ever, of course.
That's what I like to hear. Oh man, what a week!
I'm
It's only
telling
Wednesday.
you,
Yeah.
it's like every week it's like better. I mean, it's like crazy how it just kind of exponentially just lifts the bar every time. Isn't that amazing? I just find that so amazing every week.
It's like every day is the best day ever. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's amazing. I fully agree. And let's be real. I say best day every day. Sometimes everyone has a bad day, right? It's like not every single day is incrementally better than the last, but in general, the trend is definitely going upward. What do you say, Ron? I know, right? Well, the thing is, too, you still have to say best day ever when people ask how you're doing, because if you didn't, if I were to just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing good, people would be like, what's wrong? So you build up a reputation that you got to uphold. Yeah.
Yeah, those expectations are hard to live by, are they not, Willie?
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough, but it helps, man, for sure. Always reminds me, to have that positive attitude. And here's something else I always say too, because people are like, some people, they think positivity is just like ignoring anything in your life that isn't great, basically, and just being ignorantly blissful. But I do not think that's a healthy form of positivity. I like the way I think about positivity is just like, in any whatever cards you get dealt, like what's the best hand you can play? What's the most positive outlook you can have in any given situation, and how can you make the most of it?
Yeah, it's a great take on stuff, and it's contagious. It really is. I mean, Willie, I know you bring energy to all the rooms that you enter, and it's a credit to you and your positivity, because it really does, help others that may not have that same feeling, but it can bring them that sense of positivity and that uplift that they might not have currently going on. So no, credit to you, Willie. That's a great way to try to go forward through life and spread that amongst others. So more power to you always.
Appreciate that, everyone. That makes you're right. You're making me feel more positive just hearing that, and it is very contagious. And heck yeah, I mean, we've got there's if we got a big challenge ahead of us, right? And if we can keep positive culture and stuff, I think that's gonna pay dividends, basically, because everyone works their best when they're in a good mood, basically, and when they're happy and feeling positive. So I think it's a great culture for us to brew and cultivate. What's up, Seth? What's up, Psycho? What's up, Earthguard, Miguel? How y'all doing?
Well, I just got onboarded onto engineering, so I'm getting my first development work.
Let's go! Oh, that's so awesome to hear, Seth. What do you know what your first issue is going to be?
Yes.
Now recording.
So, right now, my priority in engineering is sort of to get myself onboarded and to help other people go through the same process. So,
that's awesome.
The first thing I'm doing is modifying the README to include some additional information that cost me a lot of time, essentially.
That's awesome, dude. Great way to contribute. And so is a plan that, as new developers want to get onboarded, you're going to be basically holding their hands and guiding them through the process?
Well, yeah. I mean, like Mr. Nerdhair yesterday spent like an hour and a half helping me to go through the procedure and explain to me, sort of the flow of how you get the code, make changes, and upload it, which is more complicated than I expected. And, well, it's really nice he's willing to spend that kind of time. If we have to do that for every new contributor, that is not scalable, right? So I don't like that math. So one thing I'm pushing for, and I mentioned this at the stand-up this morning, It's something to the effect of when we spend time to help a contributor get onboarded, we have some kind of wiki or some place where we put, here's the error or problem, here's the cause, and here's what we did to solve it, right? So that way we don't have to repeat ourselves constantly when onboarding new people.
Brilliant, dude. I love it. I'm so glad that you're helping out with that and taking initiative there. Definitely, it's like the easier we can make it just for a developer to get onboarded quickly and permissionlessly, just like self-serve. That's going to pay so many dividends. And also glad that you'll be there. If anyone does need an extra hand to help, it's awesome that you'll be there to support them.
The comment was made, Willie, just so you're aware that Seth might want access to Notion, because Notion might be a place where we put that kind of wiki or that type of information available. So I don't know, I don't know where to go from that, but if that's where that wants to live or whatever, I guess we can talk about it a little bit more here if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't really care what technology we use. To me, all that matters is we have a place where we've organized the data, right, and where people can post. And perhaps we could have some sort of ongoing bounty where, hey, if you post a good wiki article, you get, I don't know, $10, $20, whatever the community decides. But that's further down the line. So yes, they want. The idea so far is to give me access to the Notion.
Cool. You should have access, Seth. I see you in here under your Proton Mail email.
Yeah.
Cool. On that note, too, you just mentioned something. Have you guys heard of lobby.so? Have you heard of this yet? I know we've talked about it a little bit. But basically, it's like exactly what you said. It's a wiki for Web3 organizations. So something that I know LPX had looked at. And sorry, I think it's JP A&M. Can you mute? Thank you. Anyways, Lobby, it's like a open source wiki for Web3 organizations where anyone can put in information about, including stuff like onboarding. And then, you said, Seth, projects can actually put up their tokens and then reward contributions to their wiki in their token. So it's not live yet. It's like in the early access, and ShapeShift is one of the projects that can get onboarded to early access if we want to. And other big projects like Gitcoin and stuff are also in that initial cohort.
Yeah, that sounds like exactly what I've been looking for. What's it called again?
Lobby.so. Here, I'll paste the link in stage chat. And then I got a convo going with their founder. We're going to set up a chat soon to basically get onboarded. If we want to use it, go through the onboarding, and then we can decide if we want to leverage it. But I think it seems really awesome. It also seems like a lot of what, if you guys remember, Information Globalization was kind of building out a lot of their custom stuff to be able to upload this information. And it seems like what Lobby is doing is building that in a way we don't have to build it ourselves, and it'll probably get some good network effects seeing the initial projects they have interested in it. And they also support the translations. That was one thing that we had asked them about, was we're starting to translate all this content too. Will Lobby support that? And the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, this sounds like it can be used for more than just what I'm talking about. So, for example, one issue I think we have as a DAO is, we have all of these meetings and all of these partnerships and stuff, but it's like, if you weren't there for a meeting, it's not easy to go back and really understand exactly what's going on there. So, for example, with lobby.so, perhaps we could have a page consisting of all of our partnerships and the partnership deals. And so that way we have a central location where people can go to, and that way they don't have to scroll through, the million meetings we've had so far looking for it.
I love that. And yeah, we could totally do that. You can put any kind of information up there, and they do. One of the main things that it is for helping to onboard people, but also just sharing context. And you can set rules too, which is pretty cool. So you can set token thresholds to be able to read, write, or moderate the community knowledge base. I imagine we could probably do that with both Fox token thresholds, or maybe there's we could use NFTs or something where for specific people that we want to have special access or something. So pretty excited to check it out because it does seem it's getting. They announced it on Twitter, and that first post, and it got like 1,000. It got a lot of engagement. So I think it's going to be a popular tool. I invested in it personally as an angel because I'm bullish on it, and yeah, it's cool. I think it's a great fit for some of the stuff that the information globalization team was already kind of trying to solve on their own.
All right, keep me posted on how it goes, and if you decide to use it, I'll do what I can to get it started.
Sweet, thanks, Seth. We also had.
I'll just keep the onboarding stuff in the README because that's something I have access to and that lots of people are going to read.
Yeah, that sounds great. What about Gitbook too? I remember at one point I saw a ShapeShift Gitbook, but I don't think we've like published that anywhere. Does anyone know what's going on with that? No question, I guess, for the engineering workstream. Because yeah, that would be another. If we are still using Gitbook, then that would be another good place. But no reason we can't have the same content in multiple places. Cool. All right. Thanks, Seth, for that update. Any questions from anyone about anything?
I had one and I totally forgot, so I'm gonna think, but I don't
Cool.
remember.
Great machine. I had missed the conversation. I don't know who started the conversation, but I saw you were involved in the conversation around role pronouns.
Okay.
It happened in
God,
general.
Maybe,
Yeah.
you know what? That might have been what I was going to bring up. And
there you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. It's just an option we allow for people to, disclose what they prefer to be called. And if we, I can't change if somebody uses it or ignores it or whatever. I just thought it was a small, low lift, easy, inclusive gesture to just disclose, allow people to put that in their role. That was really all I was getting. I really wasn't looking to blow up the server into some big DEI conversation.
DEI.
Yeah,
what does DEI stand for?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh yeah.
So this is just sort of on the inclusive side of things, of just saying, and part of it is in it might be obvious that I go by he, but in us doing this, like if I choose a he, him, his role, like it's just something to show awareness of it, right? To normalize pronouns, right? So if somebody comes in and they're like the only they, it's allowing it as an option for everybody is just something that kind of normalizes it, and we can all, we don't all have to, but I just thought it was something that was lacking. I'd seen other servers do this, and I didn't see any reason not to. But apparently, there was some strong disagreement. So that's kind of where we got with it.
Yeah, I think that's a good overview, and thank you for bringing it up. I agree. I think it seems kind of like a no-brainer. I don't know why what the arguments are against it. Obviously inclusivity over exclusivity, and I see some real benefits for it. I know I already made the mistake one time of calling a she a he, because I guess their image kind of looked more like a he, and so I made an assumption there. And would have been great if, especially for these people who are completely anonymous, if you just don't have to guess there. I agree. I don't see any reason not to, and it seems silly to kind of turn that into a controversy or an argument. So anyways, we talked about it at the leadership meeting earlier today. It was brought up, and someone felt that one of the workstream leaders felt that it was also kind of the way that it was responded to was somewhat disrespectful too. It was kind of just like, yeah, just I don't know. I didn't see the full conversation. I just scrolled up and saw a little bit of it. Anyway,
it got a little harsh, and
yeah.
I think we should be open to discussion for anything. If you agree, disagree, I think we're all entitled to at least to talk freely, put out our thoughts, and have it, approached at face value, right? Not like with this sort of, I don't know. It was made to be a political thing, which I don't really get how we got there. But it's just a common courtesy thing, right? It's not, like
Right.
what some
And an organizational thing, a cultural thing, right? And
Right.
we are a decentralized organization, so yeah, I did see that. That was part of the pushback was, hey, can we talk about crypto instead of political stuff? And I don't think that was fair pushback. And I think we're all community members. Anyone is welcome to bring up a topic for discussion, especially in a general channel. And you're a valuable core community member, Gray Machine. And clearly, there was support from quite a few people to do that. So it should not have just been like shut down, I think.
Well, like if we had some valuable potential community member come, I mean, it's a small window of time that this happened. But if you have somebody that is, non-binary, and they come in and see this conversation, like that is a quick way to turn people off to this community.
Totally.
Right?
For all we know, we had some people who saw that. Yeah.
Pronoun usage as PC bullshit. That's a really good way to start turning off people to feeling like they're a part of the community. So yeah, I think we're all kind of in agreement. And I'm not looking to change anybody. I think that's the whole thing, is like, by doing this, we start to move in the direction of normalizing this as a process, right? Like our language and our culture should have an elastic nature to it, right? Like 20 years ago, no, this wasn't a thing, right? Like it just wasn't, there was, unfortunately, it was just not something that people did, right? And as we've kind of come into an awareness of like, this is something we should do, definitely, as a group, any group, not just us specifically, there should be some elasticity to how we talk about people and the language which we use and the words we choose for people, or how we listen to people and respond to how they want to be called, right? So anyway, that's that. It just takes a small role selection.
Hey, Narrow, it's coming through pretty choppy. Can't quite hear you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sounds better now.
I just wanted to say, I just see this as an inclusivity thing. I don't see why we should exclude anyone. If we're, I don't think the lift is that heavy. I think that it's just being open to everyone's contributions and not caring, where or how they came from. Just feel comfortable in the community and to contribute where they need to or want to. So I'm good.
Awesome. Thanks, Neverwas. Yeah, and so we talked about this at the leadership meeting, and there was no objections from any of the workstream leaders. We all agreed that there's no reason not to do this, and there's definitely benefits to do it. And Giant Kin, it's really a moderator responsibility to add and remove roles. So Giant Kin has already added those roles. You should be able to select those roles now. And Petecoin's going to post an announcement at some point. I think Friday, basically, is to the community to let them know how they can select the roles. So hopefully, I'm glad that we were able to take care of that one. I'm sorry that it was not that there. It turned into kind of it was meant as just a suggestion of something that makes a lot of sense and should be easy to do, and kind of turned into a bit of a controversy there. So apologies, and hopefully we can learn from this as a community and back each other up when we see if we think anyone is being disrespectful to another community member or anything. We can support each other.
Yeah, I'll just, I kind of only saw that after the fact. I wasn't really involved in the discussion yesterday. I generally agree with what other people have said on this topic, but I did think it was interesting just that, I think it brings up a more general, like, not this issue in particular, but a more generalized thing just about, we are a DAO. It's an open Discord. Anyone can come in and generally say whatever they want. We have some community rules, like moderators would rightfully shut down anything around like racial epithets or pure hate and things like that. But there are going to be controversial topics that come up over time, and things where people either disagree civilly or not civilly. And I'm not exactly sure where the lines are on those things. And I guess that is the job of moderation to some degree. So it's good that we have the community moderators, but I also, there's a fine line between shutting down or not expressing things we disagree with and censorship. And I'm not sure where those lines should be in a DAO, to be honest. And I'm not even saying I have a solution to this. I just think it's an interesting higher level question and something the community will need to work on over time about how we deal with things like that.
I think it organically works itself out. We don't restrict people from saying what they think. It just becomes, as we move forward and make decisions about who we, like, what kind of things make up the composite of our group. I think we should let those things. I think people should be able to speak freely, and you stand by your words, right? I guess that's my point.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you, Great
Yeah,
Machine.
you put it out there. You put it out there. You stand by what you say.
Yeah, I guess my point is like, so that discussion, and obviously I think, understandably, some people probably didn't feel the best about it. And, I talked to a few people on that. I know it was a few people why it came up. But at the same time, that kind of was the organic discussion. So that, people organically talked about it, they expressed their opinion, hopefully they move on. Yeah, I just think it's an interesting question because it's like, this is a DAO, with the exception of work streams that have a little bit of structure. It's not like anyone here is the boss of anyone else. That's kind of the point. So it's just, I would love to see these things organically handled by the community, but there may be situations that pop up where maybe it reaches a point where it can't be, and I'm not sure how those get handled. I think this one was handled, well in that way, and the community does seem to organically handle it, and that's great. But it's just something to think about on a broader scale of like, the bigger the community grows, the more likely you'll have things like that, occur. And we want to create an inclusive and opening environment for everyone, but sometimes that also means that there's going to be controversies that people, sometimes strongly disagree with each other over. And to some degree that's okay, but just how to create that safe container, I guess. But yeah, it's a good thing to think about.
Well said. And yeah, we had similar thoughts on the. Go ahead, Miss, please.
I'm just going to jump in and say, to steal Willie's words, I am so bullish on this idea. GK does have the roles out there, but not in the selector yet. So if there's anybody who wants to be an early adopter, shoot me a message. I'll be happy to add that role for you.
Thanks, Miss. And yeah, glad to hear you're bullish on it too. Maybe this is the type of thing that even attracts even more community members to our DAO, knowing that we are an inclusive bunch. And yeah, I think that's a really good point, John. It's gonna be really, this is not going to be the last controversial topic where we have disagreement. And I think this one was handled well, and hopefully we can just keep getting better at handling it. We agreed in the leadership meeting that it really is like a moderation responsibility, but as community members, as leaders, we can all also contribute and make sure if we see anybody not following those rules of conduct, then we don't have to leave it up to moderation. We can also point that out ourselves. And I think certainly in our rules of conduct, we don't you can say anything. We absolutely respect freedom of speech. It's more just like where people can cross the line is if the way that they express their opinion starts to become disrespectful, or if they start to try and do things like silence others and stuff. So we'll get better at figuring out exactly where that line is, hopefully, as we practice. Cool.
Well, I can't speak for others, but one concern I do have is that when you have roles like that, the concern is pronoun policing often follows. So I think there's a bit of classical conditioning there, where one thing can be associated with another, and I don't think that's what Gray Machine was asking for, right? So I understand that there is
role police. No.
Huh?
am I asking for role policing? No, I'm, just to be clear, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Just to be clear, what the ask is just to allow people the option to show what they prefer to be called. And it's up to you
Right.
and anybody else to decide how you respond to that. Because we
Okay.
cannot police that.
If it's a request, then I'd say that alleviates a lot of my concerns about it. If it's a demand, I don't like that. I don't like anyone compelling me to speak a certain way. Because as someone who's studied logic for many years, I understand the power language has to control people. And I definitely don't want anything like that here.
I think we can also just go back to those rules of professional, or those rules of conduct. I forget the exact name of it, but it would be disrespect. It would be disrespectful if someone asked you to call them a certain pronoun and then you repeatedly call them the pronoun that they're not asking for it. Like, that would be the type of thing where if that became a problem, moderators would have to say, "Hey, what are you doing? This is disrespectful and this violates the rules. If you continue doing this, and we're going to have to take action." But if it's an accidental thing, then the person will just say, "Hey, here, I prefer if you called me this." Or any of us could also reach out and say, "Hey, we noticed you called this person this pronoun, and they actually would prefer this. I'm sure they'd appreciate it if you called them the pronoun they prefer." I think that's fine. I don't see that as policing, just as inclusivity. How can we make sure that we're being inclusive?
Well, I mean, I suppose the number one rule of any organization is don't be a dick, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not looking to stir up controversy, right? But I do think it's very important that I be able to say what's unpopular if I'm have a good reason to do so, right? And that's how I've always operated, right? I give whatever ideas I think are suited to the situation, and as long as I'm not harshly penalized for doing so, uh, I can. I'm happy with that.
Totally. Yeah, and I think we've done a great job as a community of that so far. I don't see us shutting down a lot of speech whatsoever. It seems pretty open, and it seems like generally everyone has been very respectful, which is great to see.
All right. Well, if everybody's for it and there's no opposition, then I guess the case is closed.
Sweet. Looking forward to that announcement on Friday and figuring out how we can update our roles. That'll be cool. And you mentioned you saw other DAOs doing this too, Great Machine. That's pretty cool.
Other Discord groups like UX, UI, design, that kind of stuff.
Super cool. So yeah, we might be one of the earlier DAOs to implement this. Cool. Well, I think we've covered that topic really well. Thanks for bringing it up. Does anyone else have any other questions or topics they want to bring up?
Oh, on a lighter note, so we got that one test sticker done from the illustrator, and I've posted a couple times. There's a what is that god awful sound that keeps going off, driving me nuts?
It's the stupid Discord noises.
Stupid Discord. Anyway, I made a Google sheet just to throw out any other ideas that you might have in there. If we go for like a 20 pack of stickers from this illustrator, perhaps, just to have a list of things for the artist to work through. I can post it again in the general chat.
Sweet. Yeah, can you post it in general? Check it out. Oh, the OpenSea card sold. Who got it?
Yeah, someone got it for 2.4 ETH. That was the cheapest one.
Dang it! Oh, I could have afforded that if I'd kept bidding.
Yeah. Dang it. Yeah, that was a cheap one. That was a steal.
That is a steal. Yeah.
On a different note, I'll just take a minute to shill what Kent posted about this tokamak proposal. So that's up in the forum now. There's some discussion about it in Tokenomics Public. It was discussed on the Tokenomics call yesterday. But I am super bullish this idea for the Treasury to make a large deposit into the token reactor, all the opportunity that provides via, additional toke APR and revenue. So, happy to chat about it if anyone has any thoughts about it. But I would definitely recommend everyone go
look at Kent's proposal in the forum. I think it explains it pretty well.
Thanks, John. Yeah, you put it really well. Where every day that we delay staking our Fox in that tokamak reactor, we lose like 42K of toke rewards. We're basically just burning money. So appreciate Kent getting that one up so quickly. And it's an ideation, right? He went straight to ideation with it.
No, I don't think it's an ideation yet. He just made a post and he made a proposal where people could, not a proposal, but a forum discussion where people could weigh in on and they could vote on the amount of Fox they would like to see. I think after that he'll put it in ideation. At least that's what I'm assuming. But
Yep. It's just a draft proposal.
But yeah, it's still. I think it. Hopefully it can move forward relatively quickly over the next few weeks. Is my hope. I definitely think it makes a lot of sense, and a way I'll just kind of say it again is like this would basically instantly make the DAO profitable, the treasury profitable, and would give it more than enough revenue on top of everything else we're doing, which is great. Oh god, I've got cats fighting. It would give us more than enough to basically run operations of the DAO indefinitely and do a bunch of other things with the toke. So it's just super cool.
Agreed. Yeah. I don't know what. Yeah. Go ahead.
Speaking of the governance process, and was it put into forum or ideation? I apologize. I have to pop off, so I'm going to bring this up and then let you and John take it over. But that discussion that we were having a little bit last night about, do we want to go through and make some updates, clarifications around that governance?
Yes, thanks for bringing that up, Miss. Do you have to hop right now?
I do. I have a client that I should have been at 2 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take it over. Thanks for bringing it up. We'll let you know how it goes. All right. So if you guys haven't seen yet, there's a conversation happening in the governance channel. No, in proposal discussion channel. And it's around potentially updating the governance process, specifically around this first step of before you go to ideation, basically. There's been some confusion around this step, and it's been an optional step, which has probably contributed to a lot of the confusion. And so, yeah, the question is, just around that specific step and around the broader governance process, can we improve it? And there seems to be some consensus around taking this first initial step of just getting the discussion started in the forum or in Discord, which has currently been optional, and making that a required step and putting a required minimum time duration on it as well. So that's the general idea. Does anyone have any questions or feelings on updating the governance process?
So we're going from it's optional to put it up for ideation. So you have to, like, if it doesn't do this, it'll be rejected, right? If you put up a forum post with a vote first, it will be rejected. Is that what we're saying? Just so I can understand.
Yeah. Basically.
Which is exactly what I did. And I remember reading through the guideline. It's kind of like do 1, 2, and 3, and then there's some explanation, and then there's like, but also do 2.5. And I think a lot of people might, and maybe it's changed since then. I don't know. But if you kind of look at the 1, 2, 3 steps, I could see how it gets missed. So, but I'm fine. I'm fine with. I mean, it gives you time to make a second draft with feedback from the community rather than kind of rolling forward with your first attempt.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just. Yeah. I agree that having it in some sort of posting to where it allows the community to kind of learn about it, read about it, understand it better is probably a better step than just going directly into ideation, because it can then is almost like, oh, this is something that's probably going to end up a proposal unless it's outwardly rejected. So I think it's a great look for the community to kind of just give that visibility and give that time to digest and ingest and kind of provide feedback for. And like you said, Willie, I know this. It was never set in stone. This process was meant to kind of be looked at on a reoccurring basis and adjusted as the needs, show themselves. So I think that anyone was ever like, saying that this is something when the choice is made, it's going to have to be that way forever. I think it's something that definitely is very fluid within the community as and obviously being that boardroom was down, has been down for an extended period of time. That kind of really, changed the way things were the flow of things anyways. So I know that might have led to some confusion too, because it was like a forum post and then a forum ideation post and then, the proposal itself. So I think that, just, the clarification aspect of it or whatever would go a long way and just, solving some confusion or whatever that might be out there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm generally for clarifying it. I think this has always been one of the more not clear, confusing parts of the process. And I agree, it never was. I think it got more confusing when boardroom ideation stopped working, because then it used to be like you go to the here and then you go to here and then you go to there, and now it's like, wait, I go to the forum twice, which I think is just not clear in the process, and it's understandable how people have been confused by it. But I do think it's important to have that discussion period ahead of going to ideation, because the way I view it is, it's like governance is a process that goes from informal to more formal to very formal in terms of snapshot. So I think it's important to have that informal part where so ironically I'm basically suggesting we formalize the informality, but I do think that's important that you have that informal part where community members have a chance to like understand and discuss the proposal. And then by the time it gets to ideation, like that's already that's the start of the formal process. Because that's where it can actually, that's the temperature check. That's where it can actually be voted up and down. And, it either moves forward or it doesn't to the next stage. And then it gets really formal with snapshot. And I think if you go straight to ideation, it kind of cuts the community discussion a little bit. And I don't know. I've liked our governance process so far when it does work that way. And I think basically mandating some small amount of time, not a ton, maybe 48 hours or less, for that informal discussion makes sense to me.
Yeah, I had to cut it way down. And I mean, just it's now that I've done one, I know to keep it under a certain character limit, because you get your heart set on this is the body of my text, then you dump it in and it's like you need to remove 600 characters. So, but I don't think it was rejecting it based on the length. Maybe that's something they fixed, of disclosing your character limit being over the limit.
Do you guys know what that character limit is? I remember I tried to find it at one point in their docs and I couldn't.
I should have grabbed it while I was doing it. You didn't.
We can just ask them. But yeah, that's cool, and that's a good point. So the warning about the character limits, that's the type of thing we can just go add that to the governance process, because we're not changing anything in the governance process. Those character limits have always been there. We're just we can certainly ask. It would be a question for Snapshot, because Boardroom's just another interface to Snapshot's protocol. We could certainly ask Snapshot if they increase their character limits. Probably we can see what they say. But even if they can't, we can always do is you can link from a governance proposal to a longer forum post, and we've seen a lot of DAOs do that.
Yeah, and that's another actual reasoning for having that forum post as the initial one. So at least some of the bodies there, or maybe even there's another version of the forum post as it's changed or adapted from input from the community as it evolves. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with John and Ron and you, Willie, that it's just part of the natural evolution as the grow adapts to things, we just adapt process as well, and gain the insights from what we've already been through. So yeah, definitely.
Totally.
And any update on boardroom? I know this is a reoccurring question, Willie, and I know it's not really your baby to have to worry about, but I know that you tend to communicate with a lot of individuals. So I don't know if you've heard. I mean, I know that last I heard there was a solution that was presented, and it was in process of possibly being implemented. But do they have any updates on that front?
Yeah, the last I heard too was that they are adding ideation back, and they're rebuilding it on Arweave, whereas before it was they were using Ceramic, and that was a lot of the back and forth for a while. Was Boardroom was saying it was a Ceramic issue. Ceramic was saying no, Boardroom needs to change their implementation, and then ultimately where that landed was Boardroom migrating away from Ceramic entirely and over to Arweave, which they think is going to be a much better solution. And so that's part of why it hasn't come back yet, is because just the larger change of them moving from Ceramic to Arweave, and I think that they're working on that again now. I know that they had been, last time I talked to them, they were pretty focused on this V2 version of Boardroom update, and that was not going to include ideation. So he had mentioned that was one of the next big things. Getting ideation back on Arweave was one of the next big things on the roadmap. So it's coming. They're still working on it, and it's a priority for them. But probably I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get another update until January. So yeah, I agree with all that too, and I love what you're saying, Never, was that we should be fluid. We shouldn't be afraid to try new things out and adapt. And to that point too, if we decide that we want to change this again, we certainly can. So I'm all for giving this a try. I will say part of the initial reasoning behind making this like an optional step was that hopefully people would still have these conversations, right? I really wanted to encourage people to have these discussions whenever it makes sense, and but also wanted to be very flexible. And maybe those discussions happen on a governance call or on a community call, and then it goes straight to ideation. If we don't really see a big need to have this extra step beforehand, if it doesn't seem like there's going to be controversy in the proposal and we just want to move it through quickly, and knowing that there could be times like with this tokamak reactor thing where we just specifically we want to move as quickly as we can, and then now it's like, oh, we now have this extra step. So that was some of the reasoning behind it, but clearly this is all good feedback from everyone who's been using it. We've clearly seen that people are like just skipping it, and there's more desire from the community to actually have this extra advice process step beforehand. So let's give it a try. But I guess we would do. Yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts on what that period should be? I think 48 hours as a minimum. Anyone want to propose a different minimum time period for this informal step?
I would, 48 feels good. Like if they're all 5 days, 15-day turnaround for any. I mean, I know we want to be prudent, but we also want to be agile. And I think, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's the difference between 10, 12 days instead of 15 days. So, but I don't know. I think 48 hours is good enough to shop it around, get your feedback, and make adjustments.
Cool. Ron, you're saying 24. Do you think 24? It should be 24. Or do you think 48? Oh, well, I do, because I definitely like something that you're saying there, where like at the very, not only should we have maybe the post in the forum as a requirement there, but then also maybe like at least posting it in the proposal discussion channel. So you post in the forum and then you post it in the proposal discussion channel just to make sure people are aware of it. And then also, I like that. I am wondering if we could do it, if it might make things confusing if we had that kind of arbitrary subjectiveness in the required step, if that makes sense. So it would be nice if we could just make it clear where it's like min 24 hours and you have to post in Discord, or min 48 hours and you have to post in Discord, as opposed to min 24 hours if you are active, because then that becomes subjective. That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. Does anyone know if it seems like it would work? But does anyone know for sure if Discourse would be able to, we could set up a bot to post in Discord every time a new post is made, or ideally a new post with a specific tag? We can ask GK about that, Ron. That's a great idea. Yeah. Cool. What about the requirements for what should be in this forum discussion, right? So we're adding a required step. The other required steps, they have some acceptance criteria. How specific? What do we want to make the requirements for that initial forum post? How much detail do people have? Should we require people give, or should we just say any? Should we just leave it? Just say a post.
Is this like
No.
a measurement of engagement? Like, are you looking for like a number of likes or a number of comment posts?
No, specifically so once you get to ideation, you have to have a draft proposal that follows a template. But we probably don't want to make people follow the template for this initial post. Maybe we do, but probably we want. I think there's benefit if we can make the barrier a little bit lower, and not require people to have the whole drafted proposal just to get the discussion started. So what do we want to require them to have?
And I guess, are you asking in like a timeline, or what? Are we still talking about time here, or are you talking about a criteria?
A criteria. So we've talked about minimum 48 hours, and you should maybe post it in Discord. But what has to be in that post for it to qualify? Or another way to think about it is what would disqualify a post? Like if someone posted a title and didn't put anything in the forum, does that qualify? Probably not, right? Maybe because maybe people can post in there and say, "What is this about?"
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll let Tyler obviously might want to chip in here as well, but I'll jump him a little bit in line. Sorry, Tyler. I definitely feel that it has to have some type of body. It has to have, what is the purpose? What is it looking to accomplish? What is the problem that it's seeking to address? Maybe. I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Willie, that maybe the barrier might be a little bit lower than like the full draft proposal, but maybe it has to include like, at least like, what are you proposing to resolve? Simpler things, but it has to give information so that people can actually start digesting stuff. Like you said, if it's just like a title or a name of the post, I mean, it may start discussion, but also it might just sit there and people will just ignore it as just nonsense. So it's definitely got to at least be able to provide a topic for discourse, amongst the community. I think. I don't know.
I feel like maybe a better way to measure this criteria is either off of engagement or community sentiment when it's in the post. Like, I think that there's been some forum posts that have happened already that the intention of the proposal wasn't created on the first post, but through engagement with people on comments, people were able to kind of drive an idea out to be able to become a proposal, and the body of the full idea kind of was created from different posts that contributors all kind of came to together. And I also think the forum is used for things besides the proposal, which I think is pretty cool too. Like in a decentralized DAO, I think that we don't have to force everyone to be here in Discord with us if they want to be a fox. And I think we may find an engagement factor of people that do a certain matter just in the forum. So while it's good to have incubation here, I think that fostering incubation in the forum posts, especially once ideation is back and supported and you can see the difference, will really help these things. So I feel like it would be a barrier to entry to put a whole bunch of criteria inside the forum post as well as criteria inside the proposals, because the things that aren't good enough in the blank proposals will weed themselves out and not make it all the way to the second step. So I feel like the locks get tighter as the things get more serious, and this first one doesn't need to be a whole big issue, I guess would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think those are awesome ideas, Tyler, and I like that. I think maybe we can avoid having any requirements on the content and just make it. I think it's even better if we can just make it requirements for engagement or sentiment. That would be even better. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Minimum of X votes and majority upvotes. Would that be good? And require people to include a poll in their a for or against poll in that first post.
I can definitely see that working. Once Tyler said his part, I definitely see the justification and the reasoning for that. So yeah, no, I would agree with that as well. Yeah, I mean, since I'm involved with I know Mrs. took up most of the heavy lifting right now in the governance tracker, but I can speak to before all that. What was a very confusing piece for that aspect of monitoring and keeping that up to date was when you had like a post that was in the forum, and then you'd have an additional post that was the ideation, and then of course you have the actual governance aspect of the vote. Tracking that within the sheet, usually you'd have to make three different like three different or at least a minimum of two different edits or updates in there, and sometimes they were totally two different things because they could change and stuff. So maintaining that was always fun because you would have multiple posts that were the same thing basically, but then you were would have views and the other one would basically be dead because it wasn't going anywhere. So tracking those things was always interesting, and I know Mrs. come with a lot more type of formatting and ability to filter stuff out, which is helpful for her. But I do know that having some type of a way of tracking that, it will help a lot in that aspect, I think. Sorry.
Love that. Yeah, that's a great idea. So, and we can require maybe in the official governance proposal links to both that initial discussion and the ideation. That's an awesome idea. This is great, you guys. I love that we're brainstorming and coming up together with how we can optimize this governance process. This is how we get the best governance process. And we've already got a solid one, so I'm excited for these improvements. What do you guys think about the name of this phase? Should we call it initial discussion, or does anyone have another name to suggest? Incubation. Yes. Incubation, ideation, proposal. Love it. Cool. Webhooks? Oh yeah, we definitely. That's how that proposal spot we have right now works as webhooks. And Beard could probably help out with that too. He set up that window tweed bot that does the proposals. Sweet, thanks for checking that out. All right, I think last question. I've been taking notes too that I have to share. Does anyone want to take this, make this proposal, and take it all the way through the governance process? I'm of course happy to, but I want to see if anyone else would like to do this. Yeah, exactly. That sounds perfect. Proposal to amend governance process. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds perfect. I love that, dude. Sweet. Thank you so much, Ron. And Miss. Miss is going to be stoked when she hears about these changes. Cool. I'll post these notes too, so you got them. And then anyone else can feel free to add any further thoughts in the governance channel. And yeah, let's keep the ideas coming as anyone goes through the governance process and stuff. Keep ideas coming for how we can continue to optimize it. Yeah, I think that could be that'd be a great bounty. I think totally, that'd be a great bounty for a community member. And then Beard might even pick it up if nobody picks it up and stuff. We can try and see. Maybe Seth wants to knock it out.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We got an engineering bounty coming up to help do a discourse webhook integration, so that whenever a new post with the tag on it gets added to Discourse, it'll automatically post in Discord.
Oh, nice. Sure, I'm willing to get involved.
Sweet. Ron's going to make a bounty for it. Sweet. We got 2 minutes left, so I think we're pretty much out of time for today, but this has been an awesome discussion. Great topics today, everyone. Great questions, great contributions. This might have been one of my favorite community lunches so far because it's just been lots of engagement from everybody and lots of great. I love brainstorming, so appreciate everyone's contributions. And yeah, I'm going to be out, by the way, Thursday and Friday, going to a music festival in Vail that I've had scheduled for a long time. So actually since before the pandemic, and then it got rescheduled. So gonna miss you guys, but I'll be back Monday and still, of course, somewhat available.
No, you won't, Willie, but it's okay. Enjoy your time.
Appreciate it, dude.
Willie, I'm out all next week, so I'll see you December 20th.
Wow. All right. Sounds good. And looking forward to Josh, do you have a second? What's the deal with this coaching thing you're doing? Is it already filled out? Is it open to anybody or just engineers? What's the deal?
You mean the class?
The class, yes. You can give a quick plug.
Yeah, that one is just for I think it's that class is full, but
Okay.
I could talk about, I could at some point. I'm not really prepared right now, but yeah, I could definitely show it and present it to more people and see if other people are interested in it for sure. But
yeah, that's awesome.
We are
Cool.
full on what we've got for this next round.
Cool. Well, sorry to get everyone's hopes up there, but yeah, looking forward to guinea pigging this class with Josh, and hopefully there'll be spots in future classes. It's like a leadership class, right?
Right. Yep. It's basically some like basic leadership stuff that's foundational on the like building the people relationships that's needed for leadership. And that's like leadership, whether it's in your job or, you know, just basically in your life also. So it's super. I've taken the class. I learned it from a guy about 20 years ago, and then I facilitated it with him. And so I'll put some more information out there, probably sometime in January. But so thanks for being excited about it, Willie.
Thanks for leading it. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you guys soon. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.